All right, everybody, good evening. We are now live on Facebook as well as here on Zoom with our pre-registered attendees. Thank you, everybody who has pre-registered for tonight's event. We are very, very excited to be going live tonight with Al Fulchino from Fulchino Vineyards. I am very excited for this event because I know you can't see, but Fulchino is right over there. Like, I'm in my house right now, but I can practically see it because I'm right next door in Milford. So a little close to home. If it wasn't raining, I probably would have gone over there to have the event in real life with Al. So Al is going to do a tasting for us with some of the fabulous Fulchino wines you can find in our New Hampshire liquor and wine outlets. He also has a really cool giveaway. I'll let him talk about it because my description does not do it justice. And tonight we also have on the line Chad from our wine marketing team. So if you have any questions for us, please go ahead and leave those in the comments on Facebook or in the Zoom chat. We're going to be answering questions throughout the presentation tonight. So we'll do some wine, do some chatting. So I hope you're all excited. I hope you have some wines to taste along with. So without further ado, welcome Al Fulchino. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I've been looking forward to this. So I hope people have a lot of questions. We've got a couple of nice giveaways, and we're going to talk some wine and drink some wine. So I'm ready.
Awesome. So Al, we have a question already. So we were chatting a little bit before we got started about how Al's family has been making wine for over 100 years. So Tracy here on Zoom is wanting to know, what's your fondest memory of being in the wine industry?
There's two things. Being down in the basement of my grandfather's house, watching him press grapes, and B, when he would send me down the stairs to go fill up the that Sunday's jug of wine, opening the door and having the aroma just take my breath away, and that memory has stuck with me. And it just brings back great memories of family time. Love food, wine, sharing stories, and that's really at the core of our family. It was around my grandparents' dining room table, and I'm very fortunate today to not only own my grandfather's wine press, but also to own the dining room set. Every Sunday, our entire family would come to my grandfather's house during the day, and we would all meet and gather. So I don't know whether that's a striking answer or not. It's a pretty simple answer, and those are probably the two things that really meant a lot to me. And in turn, though, that feeling is what we try to, as a mirror, bounce back to the customers that come to the winery. We don't tell anybody we're special, because we're not. We're not the biggest. We're just us, but we believe in our wines, and we think that they're quality wines. It doesn't mean they're for everybody. Everybody has their own flavor profiles, etc., but they're well balanced. They have everything from good, gentle acidity to big, robust, bright acidity. We're full-bodied, we're light-bodied, we're oaked, we're unoaked, we're sweet, we're dry. And we just want to have a wine for you out there so that when you sit down here with us, you're going to be relaxed, you're going to be appreciative of what's in front of you, and it's going to complement whatever you might be dining with and who you're conversing with. So simple. I'd like to say we're something beyond that, but we're not. We're just very simple. So.
Great. So I know we just kind of, spoiler alert, talked about how your family has been in the wine industry for 100 years, but can you tell us a little bit about the history of your facility here in Hollis? Well, not here in Hollis, but
Back to Judge Waldo, mid-1800s, that's what we know of. So my first business was landscaping. I went to an agricultural school, decided to be a landscaper. I decided I could make more money at other businesses. Fast forward, I had bought this land in the 90s. Early 1990s, and it's outstanding in terms of growing grapes because we can generate a huge amount of heat. And when you can generate a huge amount of heat, you ripen your grapes. And that's really what it's all about. Because for it to get into the bottle in any condition at all, the riper it was, the better. And I don't mean overripe. I mean, I'm talking about all the positive of ripening. So we lived here in town since the 80s. And one day I saw this land for sale right literally within 1,000 feet of my house, driving to work, and it became available. And I said, someday when I sell my other businesses, I'm going to do the family thing. And by 2005, I had got out of my other businesses, I sold those off, and it was time. So I had leased the land to a local farmer, and he took good care of it, and that was great. So we got some vines from various sources, some of which was family, some of which was UC Davis in California. We have a couple of French hybrids, French American hybrids, like the Frontenac Gris right here, which is just a beautiful wine. And hey there, it's an active place sometimes. Anyways, so
I wish I was there.
what's that?
I wish I was there.
It's a little busy out there. So we had options. What are we going to do, and who are we going to be? And we wanted to be a ground up operation. So we didn't go buy a bunch of grapes and then do our thing and then sell it while the vineyard grew. What we did first in 2007 was plant 14 different varieties. And this is the estate vineyard. There's 3 other locations that we pull our grape from, all within 2 miles. So we planted first. This vineyard here, planted in 07, pull all the little grape flowers off. I accidentally, funny story, I missed 1 cluster on a Pinot Noir, and I missed 1 cluster on a Riesling. At the end of the year, I didn't even know they were there. I'm walking down to survey my crazy vineyard, and who the hell plants a vineyard in Hollis, New Hampshire? And son of a gun, there were grapes that I had missed, and they tasted just glorious. So that was a pleasant surprise. Anyways, year 2, we further developed the vines. Now we're developing, we finished off the trunk and the cordons. We do what's called a Scott Henry trellis system. And it allows us to pull 35 to 46,000 pounds per year off of this property alone, which is a fair amount. So second year, we finished training. Third year, we pulled our first harvest. And the first harvest was 4,000 pounds. Doesn't seem like a lot. It's not a lot. It's 2 times. Fourth year, we were up to 16,000 pounds. And then we were up to 32,000 pounds. And from that point on, it's been 32. Well, 32 is the low side. More like 35 on average on the low side. And the high average is 46,000 pounds. And the cool thing was that 46,000 pound year was 2016, and it was beautiful. We didn't just have a lot of grapes. We had the ability, because I have a high water table. Grapes will go down, the vines will go down 20, 25 feet to pull water. And everybody else was drying up. I had cows up the street, my hay fields were going dry, so that was kind of a bummer. But at the vineyard, it was fabulous because the feet of the vines had the moisture they needed, but the foliage wasn't getting rained on, so we weren't getting fungal problems. And because of that, we just had a really truly outstanding year. So that's a quick, I don't want to go past my time or
Oh, you're great.
Just scare me, yeah. So that's kind of a quick overview.
Cool. So everybody who's tuning in tonight, before Al gets started with the tasting, we want to know if you are tasting along. So let us know in the comments and in the chat on Zoom. Let us know which Fulchino wines you have at home tonight. Al is going to be tasting 4 wines. So Al, if you want, do you want to get started with the first wine while we see which ones people are tasting along with?
And I'm going to start right now with the Frontenac Gris. In fact, I will tell you this wine right here is a table setter. And when people show up here and they want to get started, they'll say, what should we start with? I will always go to this. Some people say, but I'm a red wine person. I said, today we're going to go with this. Now, why am I going to do that? Well, dinner time, maybe what you start with. You don't start with the red meat. You don't start with the big Italian dish. You usually start with the appetizer or maybe a salad. This is going to be a great way to start. It's got crisp acidity, and that's a term if anybody wants to ask a question about acidity, is a valued component of wine. It's a unfriendly component of wine, depending on who the taster is, the person drinking the wine. This will go with rich appetizers, hors d'oeuvres, salads, and sandwiches. It's got a beautiful amber and bronze, maybe a little hint of rose in there color. We actually ferment this on the skins. It's classified as a white wine, okay? And this was actually a discovered wine. There's a grape called Frontenac, which is named after a place up in Canada. And somebody was walking down a row of Frontenac vines, and they noticed one shoot that was different than the rest of the vine. So they took tissue cultures, and lo and behold, Frontenac grew. So it's a naturally occurring, what they call a sport. It has its own DNA. Anyways, it's got a beautiful bouquet. It's a nice gentle one, and the notes on it are apricot, nectarine, peach, and a little bit of pineapple. So it's not totally dry. What's beautiful about it is white wine and red wine people will understand it. White wine people may want to continue having it through the meal. Just sometimes people have the mindset they only do whites, but this is a great wine for both red and white wine people. And versatility is important. In fact, the first three wines we talked about tonight, aside from the quality of the wine itself, it's the versatility that makes it super useful in the home when you're with guests, because there's nothing better. Let me say this. When you sit down and have a dinner, and you look at all your guests with you, they all have the same plateware, the flatware, they're all having the same main course, the side dishes, everything's the same. And then you look at everybody, and that one's having a white wine, that one's having a red wine, that one's having Coca-Cola, iced tea, whatever. So you know what that means? That means everybody is experiencing the dinner or the meal differently. And if you can get them to have a wine that is very versatile for different types of wine drinkers, everybody can share the same experience. Just like when you're watching a movie, everybody sees the same star, the same actors on the stage, the scenery. So when you have your food in front of you, you'd like to be able to talk about it with everybody else. And if you're drinking different beverages, you're making the food taste different all the way around the table. So that's what's great about these first three wines. Anyway, it's just so smooth. It really is. And it's nice chilled in the summertime. You don't have to. There's more bouquet if it is not chilled. When you chill it, the aromas get trapped a little bit, but it's just a nice gentle wine. And you can have this with cheese and crackers, of course, a nice salad, a fruit plate. It's just really a beautiful wine. And this is one of the grapes that we will plant more of as we re-engineer our vineyard. From time to time, we pull out some of these vines. It's kind of like a baseball team. Your vineyard is like a big baseball team, and one guy hits 220. He's a nice guy, but the next guy hits 320. And you need more guys that hit 320. So this is a grape here that we would want to plant more of. So anyway, so salute, and if you have any questions, I'm here.
Awesome. So we do have some questions about product availability. So Chad has shared the link in the chat on Zoom. So this product is pretty readily available. It looks like we have about 431 bottles in stock across our stores. So if you have a specific store you're looking to buy a bottle from, go ahead and leave that in the comments on Facebook or in the chat on Zoom. I can look that up for you. And this wine is currently priced at $14.99. So great questions. Sounds like we've got a couple people who are going to go try it.
Yeah, it's actually $1 cheaper at your stores than the vineyard. We're $15.99. So anyways, and if people are looking, they go to the state website, type in Fulchino, and our 4 wines will come up. And then when you click on one of those, the locations all come up.
Yep.
If I have my facts right.
That is correct. Okay, let's see. Somebody wants to know if this is available for curbside pickup. Yes, it is at the stores that offer it. I still have the inventory up, so let me tell you. Bedford has 13 bottles available. They have curbside pickup. Epsom has 10. They have curbside. And Hampton and Hooksett both have it too. So great questions, guys. I hope you are going to go pick up a bottle and try it. I want a glass. I want a nice chilled glass of it right now.
Yeah. By the way, it's unoaked, so it's got some nice citrus quality to it. You're not going to get a wood component. This wine is nice and delicate, and you don't need to oak it. Oaking would mask the beautiful traits of this wine.
Cool. So Al, another question for you before we move on from Facebook. The Facebook world wants to know if the winery is open for tastings right now.
Yeah, so we're 7 days a week, and the hours are on the website. We're a mom and pop operation with some very dedicated employees. So maybe one social media page might say a little different, but here's the hours. Monday through Wednesday, 11:30 to 6, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 11 to 8, Sunday, 11 to 7. And you can go to our website and make a reservation if you like. It just helps us plan having enough employees. I will tell you, Saturdays, the weekends, you should always make a reservation. As we progress into the summer, once school lets out, I strongly recommend it for the weekdays as well. That's not to say you can't just pull right on in here. We've expanded our areas where people can taste wines. But if we know you're coming, especially if you're a larger group, we can make sure the tables are close to each other. We don't want 6 of you sitting here and 4 of you over there. We want to make sure that when you're here with everybody you're supposed to be with. So anyways, you can call us, make a reservation too. So.
Awesome. Thanks, Al. Which wine do you have for us next?
All right, so now we're going to do the Provence. And this one right here is it's like a head start on sangria. Another one is good for red and white wine people at the same table. So where we would have had that maybe with the salad, maybe now we're going to go into, maybe this is Friday night, the friends are coming over, and you didn't have time to make sangria. I'm telling you, you can just put that there and then just dress it up with a few fruits and spice, and they'll think you did it yesterday. It's got beautiful note. It's a medium body. It's not totally dry. It's a great one for red and white wine people. And the beauty of it is the notes are so varied. It's blackberry. It's plum, cherry, little hints of strawberry and raspberry on a dry year. There's always hints of blueberry. On a wetter year, the strawberry and raspberry will increase a little bit. So it depends on our year. If we have a wetter year, the cherry and the plum get a little muted, and the other 2 lighter fruits, the strawberry and raspberry, come up a little bit. Drier year, a little darker, and more plum and cherry. It's really a beautiful wine, and this is one that over the years, if I had had the knowledge of what was going to happen, I would have double or triple planted this right here. So again, blackberry, plum, cherry, strawberry, raspberry, a little bit of blueberry note. This is aged lightly on French oak, and then a little time with the American oak. So it's a little bit different on our aging process. Usually we stick to only a couple of wines we do where we do multiple barrels. So this one right here, it'll grab even a Californian who thinks they know everything about wine. So anyway, so cheers to everybody on this one. If you have any questions, please ask.
Al, Darlene on Facebook wants to know which of your wines is your favorite?
That's a question I get asked all the time. And I'm going to answer it directly. But I do want to say that whatever matters to me is not necessarily the right answer to you. I lean heavy red wines. As I grew up, it was always the big red wines from my grandfather. And that's what I just became part of me. I like the wines to be oaked, but not overly oaked, because I believe when you over oak, you're masking the wine. And I'll tell you a quick story. If you go visit Pompeii someday, and you look at the big clay vases that they had, that's where they stored the wine. They were not 2,000 years ago. They were not oaking the wines. But as they moved up through the forest of Europe, and they had much more plentiful wood making the barrels, they started realizing, oh, look what it does for the wine. But anyways, so I lean on this table. I'll drink the Barbera for breakfast and lunch and dinner. So we'll talk about that one in a little bit. Overall, my Mirabella is my favorite wine. My Zinfandel is close behind. So, and I could talk about those briefly on the Mirabella. It's a big, robust blend. It's named after a village in Italy where my grandmother's family is from. It's an old hill town. Goes back to Roman days, overlooks beautiful valleys. So Mirabella, beautiful, to look at something beautiful. It's port-like. It's not a port. It's not fortified. It hovers around 14.5%, 15%. And it's got chocolate and orange peel and all the big red stone fruits. And it's a wine that you put in your mouth and you let it sit, not for 5 seconds or 6 seconds. You let it sit for 30 seconds. And I like to tell people that when you are trying a wine, you have to consider it like a movie. It's not a snapshot. It's a liquid version of a movie that wants to tell a story. It has its beginning, its setup, its early part, its middle, its climax part, and then the finish. And a wine is different at 10 seconds than it was at 1 second. It's different at 20 seconds. It's different at 30 seconds. And if you want to drink wine like a beer, by all means, please go get a beer. There are many wonderful beers. But if you want to have an experience and have a story told, you pick up a glass of wine. Because the depth of wine is, in my mind, unparalleled. And I'm not I mean, people love the distilled products and everything else. They're fabulous. But wine is wine for a reason. And that's how I look at it. So,
Awesome. Chad, do you have a favorite Fulchino wine?
I actually personally, kind of like Al said, I like big, bold reds. So his Barbera is my favorite Fulchino wine, and he's going to get into it shortly. By far, if I have to pick a wine, obviously this time of year, the Frontenac would be perfect, but I like the big, bold red. So the Barbera is definitely my favorite.
Awesome. So for those of you who have attended, if this isn't your first live event with us, you know that we talk a lot about the wines that the person who we have on the line likes, but it's very personal. So go taste all 4 of these and then report back with which one you like the best. You know, start off with the one that Chad and Al like the best, because that's a great place to start, but give them all a try. All right, Al, what is the third wine that you have for us tonight?
So the third wine, all right, this is our 603. And by the way, I'll tell you that's trademarked. Just FYI. So we have a wine that we call Classico. And it's a lightly sweet Pinot Noir. And when the state called looking for wines, that was one of the first 2 they picked. And at that point, I said, you know, it's going to be in the New Hampshire stores. We may as well be in New Hampshire. And so we, what's more in New Hampshire than, you know, something like 603. So if they go to that, you know, we're not there to tell them about the wine. We do have a card on your shelf that tells about it, but we're not there. So maybe just a little extra something. They see the New Hampshire sign. They want to go back to wherever they came from with the New Hampshire gift. So that's just a name. And then what we like to believe is that when they open it up and try it, they'll be like, okay, wow, this wasn't just a cute gift because it said 603. It's a lightly sweet Pinot Noir. Another one, good for red and white wine hookahs. So especially Sunday night when you think, okay, tomorrow's the work day. Somebody came over your house a little bit late. You want to give them a glass of wine. You have to start opening new wines. Well, this is a wine that was going to please both the red and white wine people at the same table. Very versatile. As an Italian, I could say things like pizza, pasta, veal parm, steak, red sauce dishes. Good for chocolate as well. It's a very versatile wine. The notes on it are pretty nuanced. Black currants, cherries, plums, and then little hints of chocolate, coffee, and white pepper. A lot going on. And it's another wine, like the first two, that the flavors keep coming up. All of these wines are not to be, put on the tongue, you swallow, you miss 90% of what's going to go on. These are wines that even after you swallow them, I always tell people, now just don't go diving right into food. Wait a second. Breathe in over your tongue. It warms up in your lungs. Okay? Now it's made all the aromas more volatile. Exhale through your nose. So all the notes we're talking about are often the visual notes, the notes on the palate, but the bouquet is not just up here front. It's also on the backside. So this is a great wine right here. This is one I know we've delivered to you, I think, a couple of times recently. It's one I can't keep in stock, and I don't want to say that. I'm saying that only to convey the popularity of it, so that if you're hedging your bets, I'm going to buy one bottle of Fulchino wine. Which one should it be? You're not going to go wrong with any of them. I'm trying to tell you what the audience response is about them, and maybe you feel that you fit in one of those categories. I don't know, but anyways, once again to your dad's birthday.
Thanks. So for those of you who weren't on for our little pre-show, tonight is my dad's 60th birthday. So he is out having a celebratory dinner, hopefully with some wine. Tracy, who is here on Zoom, we've gone through a few questions that she asked, but she also just left a comment that I want to make sure everybody is aware of. So she is tasting along with the 603. And she also left a nice little reminder that it is 20% off 3 bottles right now. So we are having our Keep It Local sale that goes through the end of this month. And so you can take advantage and try any 3 or more bottles of New Hampshire made wines and spirits and get 20% off. So you could try 3 of the 4 wines that Al is tasting tonight, get your 20% off discount, give them a try, or mix and match, try some spirits as well, or some other wineries. So Chad, correct me if I'm wrong, but that goes until the 27th, correct?
Yep, that's correct. So the Keep It Local program goes until the 27th. And like Carol Ann said, this is the perfect opportunity to try a lot of local wines. Al's doing his wines tonight. You can buy all 4 and save 20% off on all of them. I mean, it's a great opportunity to take advantage of.
And I think also you sell so we said $14.99 on the front, and I agree. I believe you're $14.99 on the Provence. No, $14.99, and then $14.99 on the 603. So I'd love to see you all come visit here, but the state stores are selling them all basically for $1 cheaper on a regular basis. That's their regular everyday price, $1 cheaper than I sell it for here at the winery. So it's a great deal to visit the state stores.
Come see us. And we had another, not question, but just another comment on Facebook from a regular viewer who said that she always loves to hear what Chad likes the best because she tends to have similar flavor patterns. So if you feel the same way, Chad and Lisa actually send out an email every month with their wine picks. So if you want to get on that list, let me know and I'll share the link so you can sign up. So Al, before we move on to the next wine, Laura is wondering if she could bring a picnic up to your vineyard to come have a tasting and a little picnic.
Sure. Do they rough idea when?
Laura, when are you thinking?
Have a conversation.
Well, while Laura types that, Al, will you also tell our viewers what they could be winning tonight? So those of you who pre-registered are all eligible for a couple of prizes. So I thought I'd let Al tell you what they are.
We have 2 prizes. One is a beautiful branded, when I say branded, I mean the old-fashioned hut brand on the wood, Fulchino Vineyard cheese board. And this was actually made by Peach Street Woodworking, which is owned by my niece. And so she makes us a lot of great gifts and gift items. These items we sell, but it's a beautiful board. And so that's going to be the second prize. So we're looking forward to giving that away, and you will of course tell everybody what the criteria is, how they can win that. And I don't like to mess around, so I went right to the top of the line. This is a wine that very few people in the world have. This is the vintage you're getting is going to be the 2020. I'm holding a bottle from the previous year. There's a whole story behind this wine, and the name Fulchinius is the Latin version of our name going way back to Roman days. But really what matters is, not so much about my family history and a person named Gaius Fulchinius who was murdered while employed by the Roman Republic. This is a beautiful Zinfandel. Zinfandel is at the heart of everything for us because this was my grandfather's favorite grape. We make 3 Zinfandels. This one right here is a celebratory Zinfandel, and it goes through a proprietary aging process. And right now it's resting in a very special barrel that we just acquired a few months back from Napa Valley. And we will bottle this wine shortly. The current barrel it's in is a bourbon barrel from a Sonoma distillery. And it's already gone through 3 other barrels prior to this. Then we want it inside the bottle for a certain period of time before we want you to even consider opening it. So we won't release this until November. Typically we'll release it about a week or 2 before Thanksgiving because we recognize people want to have it for the big dinner. So it's a very big, hearty, loaded with fruit, good structure, and just nice tannins. It's not it's not down in the category here. These are great wines, but they're for different reasons. This one right here is sit with a loved one by the fireplace, put it out there for the family on a nice Sunday dinner, maybe Thanksgiving. You can have it with your main courses, but you also can have it just after that. And this is a wine right here. I will tell you this: all my wines age remarkably well, and I'll say that even about my whites. When we talk aging wines, we often think the whites are they're 1 to 3 years, 3 to 5 years, and then the reds is a category 3 to 5, 5 to 7, that sort of thing. You can take my wines as long as you want and ride them. This guy right here will age 20 years. Okay, you treat it well, leave it on its side. We use real cork. There's a 49 millimeter, 100% real cork. That's the only thing we use. We don't use anything else. I'm not criticizing anything else. We just want to live and die by the development of the wine in the bottle. We're not a factory, and we'll cap it with a screw cap, and then it's going to serve you very well at a picnic, et cetera, et cetera. That's just not who we are. We want our wine. We want you to buy 2 of these or 2 of anything from us and have one soon. And we want you to say, you know what, the other one's 2 years down the road, or whatever you want it to be. That's what we want. And micro-oxygenation happens through natural cork. We don't use stainless steel for the same reason. We want our wines to develop in a way that serves the wine's history and possibilities that can be. Can you have a problem down the road? Yes, of course, because wine is a living thing, and a cork can fail. So you can't say everything's hard and fast, but you will never get the magnificence if you don't develop it with the cork. So anyway, so the Fulchinius, the retail is $100. We released the first one a couple years back, and we said, okay, you pre-buy it, $75. And guess what? They bought them all. And then next year they came back and bought them all again. So the first 2 years, it all got sold out. This year here, I haven't pushed it because I'm trying something a little bit different. And to get some new people to taste it, I'm probably going to be holding a barrel tasting for this. Probably in the neighborhood of August, I'm thinking. And then we'll put it out there. So it's a beautiful wine, and I have had people come in here who know wine and leave here saying that's the best wine I've ever had. Does that mean I'm a great winemaker? No. What it means is the right grapes, the right treatments, Mother Nature, and time will do what's supposed to be and make the possible happen. And I only look at us as a shepherd. And, you know, once in a while, my dad would always say, knock on your head, because that's wood. Sometimes I figure something out. And the idea is to make less mistakes the older you get. So that's one of those wines. And then we just let it be. It's its own thing. And I wanted to go back to aging because I had a guy bring in a 5-year-old Frontenac grape, 5 years old, smooth as glass. The key, if you can afford to do so, is to put some wine aside and then come back and revisit the wine. And even write some notes. Maybe the first time you had it, how it acted, and then 5 years down the road. And I love to tell people this. Put the bottles in a brown bag. Pour some for all your friends on a Friday night. Hold it in your mouth 30 seconds. Let the wine talk to you. By and large, you will all have some of the key components, notes, characteristics. Some will have different that others just will never get, but you do. But by and large, you and your group, if you start to trust yourself, you can write a wine label. Just as good as a winemaker or a vintner, whatever you want to call us. Everybody's capable of doing it. Most people just don't trust themselves. And mostly it's because just like we like to drive down the highway, we like to drive real fast. When you drive real fast, you couldn't pick up if there was a red house, a yellow house, and a blue house. And if you drive slow, or the speed limit, they've designed the speed limits so you could process all the information. If you drink wine at the proper speed limit, you can process everything. So we're not better than the people on the other side of the table. They're just as good as us. And what I'm trying to do is convey to them that if you're patient with yourself and don't rush, you can have just a lot of fun with wine. So.
Awesome. Well, Al, Lynn left a comment that you're too modest, and I agree. You make very, very excellent wines.
Thank you.
And so for those of you who are interested in winning the special wine and the cheese board, they will have to be picked up. So if you don't want to be entered, just let me know. I'm going to be pulling the winners while Al tastes our final wine tonight.
If you don't want to be entered to win this, I don't know if anybody can help you.
Yeah.
All right. So the Barbera. Barbera is a very popular grape in Italy. It's widely planted. It doesn't always make the restaurant menus. You know, we all know if you go to a restaurant, what do you see? Cabernet to Chardonnay, Malbec to Merlot, you know, the same 20, 30, 40 wines. There's 4,000 grape varieties in the world that people use to make wine. And while this is not at the bottom of the 4,000, it's not always in the top 10 or 15 or 20. And because of its acidity, sometimes people use it to give backbone to another wine. You know, the California rules on a varietal, you know, somebody can check me on this. I know the thrust of what I'm saying is true. To call it a Cabernet, a Zinfandel, a Barbera, Sangiovese, it has to have, I believe, 70 or 75% of that one grape in the wine in California, and then you can call it that. So you could drive down Napa Valley, 10 guys in a row making Zinfandel. One guy's 100%, one guy's 92%, one guy is 78%. They all say Zinfandel. Maybe they tell you what's in the rest, maybe they don't, but that's their rules. When we do a varietal, we do 100%. This Barbera is 100%. So, and I'm not criticizing California rules. That's a technique. You know, like Super Tuscans are different than you know, all the Sangioveses they have in Tuscany. So they have their things that they want to do. Barbera is a beautifully rich, smooth, red, very full bodied. This is aged on French oak. I didn't mention, but the 603 is French oak as well. We can let it stay in the barrel a little longer because it's a big hearty red and it doesn't get intimidated by a barrel. A lighter wine would get very intimidating, and then all you're tasting is the barrel. You know there's alcohol, you know there's a few flavors, there's some acidity, then there's wood. And I will tell you something. we take tours from Italy to go from here of customers, and we go to Italy, small groups. And a couple of years ago, we were up in the Friuli region, up in northeastern Italy. And I said, what do you think to the hostess, what do you think of American wines? And she looks at me very stiff back, raises her head and chin, and she says, you have wood. And I know exactly what she meant. So they feel that we kind of overdo it a bit. But anyways, a big hearty red can handle it. Wood can mask a lot of flaws. So you have to wonder sometimes when you're dealing with a heavily oaked wine, why. I personally only like to oak for the purposes of giving a little bit of body and characteristics to frame everything. And I guess I would liken it to a person puts on a pair of sunglasses and they go outside and everything they see is the same thing you see, but they see it shaded a little bit differently. You see it through a different lens. And that's what a barrel does. And the barrel could be, the French and the American, etc. It could be toasted, untoasted. All of those things are going to take the basics of the wine and then shade it. So anyways, all your big hearty dishes, this will stand up to a nice steak. Chad, what do you think? What do you like to have this with?
Personally, with the time of year, barbecue. Just like you said, like a nice grilled steak, absolutely perfect this time of year. Great pairing. And I just think, any kind of hearty barbecue, honestly, ribs. For some reason, I really like it with ribs.
No, this time of year, you're right. That's what's on our mind, especially with the heat we've had. This is, again, I love my people who love beer. But when you're having a barbecue, you want the flavors. If you want the last bite of your barbecue or any meal to taste as good as the first bite, the alcohol and acidity is a tool. We haven't even talked about the flavors, the taste, but the alcohol and acidity will clean your palate of all that rich juiciness and the fattiness, the greasiness from the barbecue. It'll set your palate back right to zero. The next bite of that barbecue is going to be outstanding. So just like when you use a spoon for soup, you don't use a fork, even though they're metal. You choose the right tool. This wine is the right tool to make your food shine. Even people who don't like wine, you know what? You pour even just that much. And every few bites, a little sip of wine, just like when you were young, you didn't want to do peas. You still did them because you had to. It's good for you. A little bit of wine is going to make your food outstanding. If you spend $50 on a steak, I want the steak to taste good, not just at the beginning, but at the end. So you got to remember, this is not just it's not a beverage. I mean, I hate that word. It's a food and a tool. So it's a do not miss wine. My book.
Before we announce the winners, we have somebody tuning in tonight named April, and she is not from around here. She can't make it to the vineyard. She can't make it to our stores. Where can she find Fulchino outside of New Hampshire?
We ship to 37 states. So I believe I've got those listed on my website. If she wants to say the state, there's a chance I would know right now. So we'll wait.
All right, April.
Yeah, you're on the phone.
And then Laura was curious if we have curbside pickup in our West Lebanon store. So for those of you tuning in who are over in that area, yes, we do. West Leb does have curbside pickup, and that is one of our newer stores too. So go over there. We're getting a lot of comments here just from people loving Fulchino, Al. So lots of people tuning in have been to the winery before. They love your wines. Lots of people have met you in person and can't wait to head back. So
I'm not a letdown on TV now or on Zoom. That's good.
Right.
Yeah, we appreciate it. I'll tell you this. I'm 62 now. My first business was when I was 19 years old. I've never worked for anybody else except for a winter job once when I was 19. This is the best business I've ever been, hands down. We meet the nicest people. Of course, when you go to a vineyard, there's a head start. People want to be happy. But I'm more appreciative of it because of what I've already been through with the other businesses. So maybe I wouldn't have appreciated as much or known the contrast, but it's the best atmosphere I've been in, hands down. People say how much work it is because you're out there in the rain and everything else, and you got to do what you got to do. You know, there's things we do, like right now, we're going through all the trunks of all the vines. Everybody, when they look at a vine, they think, oh, it's got a wood trunk. Well, they don't want to stay that way. They have latent buds, and in the spring, the trunks push out buds all over the place. For the last 2 days, this vineyard here has 42 rows. We've only hit 16 rows. It's going to take 5 or 7 more days to do it. There's a lot of stuff that there's no reward. When people come, in other words, they come and taste the wine, they can appreciate it. They come and look at the vine, they can appreciate it from what they see. But on a Tuesday or a Monday where we're out there doing things to the vineyard that people just don't know about, it is a lot of work. But you know what? Where else do you want to be? There's nothing better than being in a vineyard. It's a big garden. There's beauty. We all have family members that made wine, or a grandfather, etc. Where there's a lot of good memories. People bond to the atmosphere at a vineyard, and so it's just a great atmosphere.
Al, we've got a great question from Facebook. Well, I think it's great. You let me know. One of our viewers on Facebook wants to know if you face any challenges being based here in New Hampshire as a winery.
Yep. So the first thing when we started was we get a lot of, even from local farmers, just looking way down the nose. You're an idiot. You can't do it. You're in New Hampshire. And I said, well, actually, when I look at you and I hear that, what I'm hearing is that you have paradigms in your mind. You think it's California. You think it's, Italy. It is. It's all those places that you normally think. The reason it's in those places is because grapes, generally speaking, want a nice long growing season. They don't want too much disease pressure. Okay? If you come to me from California, you say you grow grapes, here's what I know. You put it in the ground, a little bit of attention, you go on vacation, you come back, give it a little attention, go on vacation, come back, a little attention. In 3 years, no problem. Places like this are akin to places you don't think about. In Italy, you can look at the Dolomites and be at the foothills of the Dolomites where it gets pretty damn cold, and they have grapes, and they make wines you recognize. Same thing in France, Switzerland, parts of Germany where it's cold. If you look at Italy, it's a north to south country. We think of Tuscany. Tuscany is, I think, on average, zone 6, 7, 8. We're zone 5. You can go north of Tuscany. You can see places where there's snow and cold, and they grow grapes. Once again, there's 4,000 grape varieties that people use to make wine in the world. But we have paradigms of Cabernet to Chardonnay and Malbec to Merlot. And why do we have those paradigms? Because the movies have given that to us. The restaurants have given that to us. And they have to. Because if you go to a restaurant and you see Lagrein, which is a great grape, it's a Cabernet wannabe, who knows Lagrein? I've sold it here. It sells. But it's too much education to be in the forefront of a small winery like mine. So I do it here and there. So, if you go to the restaurant, they look, they say, okay, I want a Zinfandel. They know Zinfandel. They know this, they know that. And that's the restaurants have to feed into it because they have to turn it off. So the challenges for us are communicating to the patrons. Weather, not much different than Northern Italy, but we don't go to Northern Italy to vacation. We go there to ski, maybe. We go to Tuscany for grapes, of course, you can go to Mount Etna, where they have some snow too, but not the cold temperature, but they have snow. It's a great wines in Mount Etna. So the biggest thing really is farming is farming. These are grapes. What do they want to do? They want to produce a fruit. Our job is to get them to have the best quality fruit at the end of the year with the time frame we have. When we talked about challenges, every every crop has a growing degree day. Radishes, it might be a small number. They're cold season crops. They don't need a long time to ripen. Warm season crops, tomatoes, corn, etc., they need longer. Grapes need 1,800 and about 50 growing degree days. And that growing degree days, if it's 75 degrees, that's 20 points for that day. Goes into the bank, so to speak. So from the time the buds push, you can literally add these growing degree days and get a good idea when you're going to harvest and what the quality is. This vineyard here will get 2,150 to 2,550 growing degree days. So yes, there's challenges, but that's what it is. I mean, there's you either, if you want a vineyard, you know, it's going to be what it is. You deal with some frost injury. We don't spray any insecticides. We will tolerate, most insects have a 2 or 3 weeks spot where they do a little damage. Folia phylloxera, great cane girdler, but it passes. So the choice is spray and make it pristine, or tolerate a little bit and also have the residue. So we've never sprayed. This is our 15th year of growing grapes. We've never sprayed insecticides. So, and then it's not to make us better or worse, but that's just what we do. So keep my fingers crossed.
Awesome. All right, everybody. So the moment those of you on Zoom have been waiting for, I have the winners. So congratulations to Kevin B. You have won the cheese board. And congratulations to Laura S. You have won the wine.
All right, I'm going to write these names down here. So the Fulchinius
goes to Laura S.
Okay, so Laura, will you be giving me her full name and all that later?
Yes.
Have 1,000 Laura S's walk through the door. So
yes, I will give you Laura and Kevin's information.
Okay.
Since you guys pre-registered, I have your email addresses on file, so I will share those with Al. So you can pick up your prizes.
I don't mean to interrupt. Go ahead. Okay.
Oh, I was just going to say, for those of you tuning in on Facebook, please pre-register for future events so you can be eligible for prizes as well.
And the name one more time on the cheese board was Kevin?
Kevin.
Fantastic. Okay. The cheese board can be picked up the moment after we hang up, if you want, if you're local, Kevin. If not, just come anytime we're open, basically. So you can even call us, text us. I'll give you my number. My name is, I know you're going to come. You're going to show me an ID. My number is 603-438-5984. So you can call and say, hey, I'm the winner. I'm going to come by on a Tuesday and pick it up. And then this one here, Laura, we're going to kindly ask you to wait. Reach out to us the last week in October. We'll tell you what week in November you can pick this up. You won't be disappointed. I hope you love it.
So Al, before we let you go, one last question. We've been getting a lot of comments from people who have been mentioning that they love coming to events at your winery. So I'm just wondering, I mean, last year I missed out on the 5K. It sold out before I could get in. So what do you have coming this summer?
Which event did you miss out on?
Oh, there was a 5K that started at.
Yeah, well, actually, you should have came because a lot of people who are supposed to be in it, they came, they got some chalk, and they chalked the line, and then they ran it on their own. So that was kind of cool.
So what's coming up this summer? What can people look forward to if they want to come visit?
Our Sinatra dinner is our premier event. We have a gentleman that is loyal to us because he's a true professional. He's got talent beyond what you can imagine. And he will be here with his 8-piece orchestra. We'll do a 5-course dinner. The wine will be included. It's our premier event. If you want to go back to the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, where people dressed up, and we're going to be here for 4 or 5 hours plus and have a great meal and take in the sound of Sinatra. That's our best. Having said that, we have Franco Corso coming July 31st. And he, if you like Bocelli, you must see this gentleman. He's going to do a VIP performance for us. in my mind, and I love Bocelli and I love Caruso, and I don't have an untrained ear. I'm not prejudiced towards Franco. In my opinion, when you hear Franco sing Nessun Dorma and Florian Grotto and some others, you're going to go, wow. And so both of those are dinners. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say, Boston Comedian of the Year, Dave Russo, has set us up with unbelievable, the best of Boston comedy, and not just Boston comedy. I mean, Justin McKinney was just here, and Steve Sweeney, and Lenny Clark, and Christine Hurley, Paul D'Angelo, Paul Gilligan. I love these guys. There's so many, and if I just stop there because then I won't say somebody's name, but Dave Russo is the glue that holds it together. And we have dinners, and then we also have just to come in and get a glass of wine and some charcuterie, and they watch the show. Cigar nights. Tonight was supposed to be the Humane Society, but the rain kind of come here tomorrow with all the beautiful parrots and cats and dogs and so on. Wine and cheese festivals. Private events, a lot of private events too. So, whatever events come up in your life, we do them here. So we're not the biggest, again, but we want you to feel like this is your home when you're here. If you need 300 people to be here, we're not for you. We're not that big. But if you want something intimate that takes a good picture and gives you memories to see 20 years down the road, that's what we try to supply. Oh, I can't hear you.
Sorry, I was muted.
Okay, there you are.
My cat was meowing, so I muted and then I forgot. Al, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate your time. The tasting was so much fun. We had quite a few people tasting along, so that's exciting. So you have some great stuff coming up. For those of you who don't live nearby, don't forget to swing by our stores and bring a little Fulchino home with you. Right, the 27th, you can take advantage of our Keep It Local sale, try 3 varieties and save an additional 20% off. Like Al mentioned, we are actually $1 cheaper per bottle than even he can sell it for. So great deal, great time to try 3 different varieties. Al, thank you again for coming on tonight. Chad, as always, a pleasure to hang out with you. And if anybody does have any other questions for Al, go ahead and leave those on Facebook and I'll send them over to him when I share the winner's information. So thanks, everybody. Have a great night and cheers. Cheers to the summer and to Fulchino. So thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Night.